What's the cringiest / worst examples of butt kissing you've seen at work? At my job there was this guy who kept buying his direct supervisor lunch every day. One time the supervisor asked him why he kept doing it. He responded with, "The king's gotta eat." Everyone in the immediate area cringed super hard at that, including the supervisor. What are your stories? My immediate supervisor and I were doing a job offsite at a partner company's lab like an hour's drive from our company, and we finished our task at like 4:30 and I was like, "Fudge it. Let's end the workday." He insisted on calling the director and inform him we were done working offsite and ask him to officially give us permission to go home a half hour early. The director was like, "You called and bothered me to ask this? Just go home. Seriously, you two are out in the field because you're supposed to be able to make decisions like this on your own." Fake laughter at the boss's jokes, laughter that goes on for way too long so that even the boss notices and gets PO'd. One of my co-workers knew the branch manager was obsessed with Magic the Gathering, so he pretended to have connections with someone at Wizards where he got free cards. Turns out this guy was actually just buying the cards. One of my other co-workers saw him buying a booster box at a Walmart nearby. He was literally bribing the boss for favors with Magic cards that he paid full price for. The sad thing? It fudging worked. Everyone knew this dude got preferential treatment. When he fudged things up, manager dude would always cover for him. He got promoted to a position he definitely didn't deserve over someone else who was way more qualified. We even tried letting bossman know that he was just buying the cards at the Walmart nearby, but he didn't believe us. So yeah, a few thousand in Magic cards got the butt kisser raises worth 5x that. My coworker was an asshole. She was rude to anyone she viewed as beneath her in her imaginary org chart and would kiss the ass of anyone above her. She was rude and condescending to me. Literally every day. It was the most petty shit. She made fun of the lab coat I wore, the jokes I made, the food I ate, my alma mater, just about anything. You could tell she had been bullied as a kid and was never a bully because she had no tact or wit and her insults were weak and cringy. Well, one day she has the audacity to say that I wasn't a real chemist because I don't work with solvents or do extract ions, and I took it personally. She said that I wouldn't be able to perform in SOP for pesticides. Which was dumb because SOPs are literally standard operating procedures and are written to reproducible by anyone within reason. After 6 months of putting up with her shit, I had enough and went to HR. My coworker was reprimanded. The owner of my lab told me that he considered her actions a fireable offense, but we were in the middle of an audit which she was handling, so he kept her on. At the Christmas party, my boss explicitly referenced, though not by name, how saying your coworker in not a chemist is bad and that we all should be proud of traits that make us great and work on traits that make us bad. She left right after the speech. A few weeks later was the owner's birthday. We have a tradition where a card is put in the break room and everyone can give best wishes to the birthday person and sign. My coworker wrote the most long-winded message to the owner about being so happy to work at the company and be mentored by him. It got really sappy. She said that she looked forward to working with him for years to come. He fired her that Friday. Coworker would talk up the boss during meetings. "Mr. Boss, you're the smartest person I've ever known. I wish I had some of your brains." Other receptionist at my work is a huge ass kisser. Calls herself head receptionist when she's really just a part-timer that doesn't do her job right, will constantly have meetings with the bosses and take credit for things other people do. Most recent example is when a client brought us donuts and left them at the front desk. I was in a room but heard the convo between the client and her about the donuts being a gift. Then heard her walk to the back and announce to our boss that she, receptionist, ordered them donuts because they work so hard. I had a coworker that went to the boss's apartment to massage his feet. The worst was a guy I worked with at my last job doing HVAC, because the boss was going to get a full report on whatever crew he worked with that day. If you said something negative about the boss, he was going to tell. If you were a minute or two late coming back from lunch, he had a pic on his phone with the time stamp. If you didn't hang something perfectly level or straight, he'd toss a level on it, snap a pic, send it to the boss. He also came in every Sunday and washed all the trucks, with no pay, to make sure we kept a good image. Found out eventually it had nothing to do with the job, he was just dating the boss's daughter and he was trying to prove himself. A colleague tried to feed the manager during lunch saying just one more bite please, both female but still was so embarrassed to witness that. As a blackjack/craps dealer in a casino I had a floor manager that hated me, the feeling was very mutual. One day I was secret shopped and received a 100% with some outstanding personalized comments on it. The higher-ups were so impressed that the head of table games came down from on high to give me 50,000 worth of cash gift cards, unheard of. We normally get 5,000 buffet vouchers. This all took place in front of the floor who hated me. This reaches in his pocket and hands me a card for an entry into a drawing for a 10,000 cafe credit and tells me I did good. Fucker used my 15 seconds of fame to make himself look good to the department head. It kinda backfired when I handed it back and said no thanks, I know you don't mean it. Department head hauled my ass upstairs and asked what I meant. I didn't need the job, so I unloaded every single instance of harassment. Sexual harassment HR investigations and backed them all up. COVID hit while he was suspended and he was not invited back when they reopened. This was actually pre-work. Canada's largest airline had an unqualified secretary screening the applications for pilot positions. She would determine who got interviewed and who got put to the bottom of the pile. Some guys would send her chocolates, literally, and get an interview 2 days later where others had waited years. Others would send flowers. It was close to criminal the way she got bribed, and there were a lot of examples. She was finally heavily demoted for her actions. But she should have been shit-canned. This fudger at my work was just promoted because he's an ass kisser, constantly jumps over people to perform a task but only when the manager is around. That kind of crap. Recently he wrote on our manager's door, he has a dry erase board for messages, manager's name, is the greatest. Fucking cringe. I hate this dumb ass and I respect my manager less for falling for it. Happened recently at work. One particular co-worker is almost insufferable with his behavior, constant trumpet blowing with his lackluster work, endless comments about how much money he has, degrading other team members to get some kind of moral high ground and get in good graces with management. What's more cringe is his posts and interactions on the team member WhatsApp group, really fake or cheesy crap that definitely is not his character at all. Basically everything that he does involves trying to shit on someone to look better at his job. Anyway, he thought he was top shit after one of the managers recently left and applied to take the advertised duty manager role. He was shut down almost immediately, and apparently one of the night managers straight up told him that they did not want him to work nights due to nobody wanting to work with him. This girl was constantly kissing the ass of a manager everyone hated, to the point she said she guessed she was guilty of larceny that they later found video of the manager committing. Former retail manager here, got a new district manager and we heard he was going to be visiting us, but it was supposed to be a secret. We all put in a little extra elbow grease and were on extra high alert to try to make a good first impression. While none of us had actually met the DM before, our company had an internal social media and we had looked up his profile. We were also in between store managers at this point and our operations manager really wanted the job. Op was also way less slick than he thought he was. DM finally walks into our store, picks up a random item and gets in line at a cash registers. Op rings him up personally and lays on the customer service thick, acting like he didn't know who the DM was. My department was on the 3rd floor and DM makes his way up there. I greet him with a "Hi boss." He asks me if I greet all customers like that and I let him know that I know who he is. Well, we walk my floor for a while and he asks me to take him to the office. We get down there and Op is at the store manager's desk, and when he sees the DM says, "Oh hello sir, was there a problem work your purchase? I'd be happy to make it right if there is." The look on Op's face was priceless when the DM replied, "Do I look like a moron? Have some integrity, also that isn't your office." I work with a girl who threw a baby shower for a manager's, not her manager though, wife, thrown in our office. Meanwhile her equally pregnant friend in the office was invited to the party but received no shower of her own or even an acknowledgement from the suck-up. Funny thing is everyone hates the manager, so nobody really stayed longer than they had to. Also she tries to call us out for not getting gifts for the manager on National Bosses Day, as if him being paid more to fudge things up for us isn't enough already. Part of my job is delivering children's books to some agencies to hand out. One month our executive director didn't like the book that came in. There were a couple lines she felt were inappropriate. She asked me not to deliver them and she would order new books. A co-worker of mine noticed I didn't deliver them and took it upon herself to do it. The executive director doesn't care for her and she was trying to get on her good side. She thought she could make herself look good by making me look bad. I thought she went to lunch, had no idea she was out there trying to do my job. She came back and proudly tells others that she did my job and maybe now the director will be pleased. She came to my desk and angrily says in earshot of the director, "I just went and delivered the books that you never delivered. I shouldn't have to do your job on top of everything I'm already doing for this agency." I just looked at her and said, well, that was dumb. She went to the director next and told her that she delivered the books since she seen it hadn't been done and asked if there were any other tasks she could do for her. The director was pissed. She was planning on returning those books so she could order different ones. They weren't labeled with our logo yet either, which she would have seen if she checked. It's required that we put our logo on them. The director tore into her for overstepping her boundaries and trying to make me look bad. She tried so hard to kiss ass and it backfired big time. Oh, and I was praised in front of her for listening. Edited, grammar and typos. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe. It's free. Check out some other videos I've made.